Hello everyone, it's Matt here, and this is a Scarlet Macaw model. And this is actually a reverse engineered version of Louis Pena's model, which will be on the screen now. And this has been several hours in the making. It's probably been about 4 to 5 hours of reverse engineering, and pretty much just from one photo as well. And the rest of has been another, I'd have said, 2 to 3 hours of building it and then fixing it and then changing the digital design and then changing a few bits and pieces. So it's a very complicated model. It's actually building in all sorts of directions. The head is actually facing that way. The main bit of the back is facing that way. The front bit where the legs is actually facing that way. The wings are sort of facing either side, and then the tail's actually facing that way and that way. So it's a really complex build. It's a really fiddly build as well. There's despite the fact there's only about 200 and something parts in it, and there's about 55 or so in each of the wings. I think there's about 240, 250. The inside of it is very much a hodgepodge and very complicated. Now, because this is reverse engineered from what somebody else has done, I'm of two minds whether to actually go over the build of it. I'm tempted to say no, because it's somebody else's design and I've just done my own version, and I don't think that's very fair on the original designer. But I'm just showing my handiwork off. There are a few changes to the model that Louis Pena did. The first of these is actually the base. I've actually made this little stand to actually expand the base out a bit. So this is now, because the original model was just from this point onwards, so I've added this 2-plate height base, and it's also got this little nameplate attachment. This nameplate was actually specifically printed for this model by Brick Sanity. It has done a great job on this, perfectly designed to suit a museum. So we've got the actual name of the bird in English, the scarlet macaw, and then we've got the Latin, the Ara Macao. And if you moving up the model, the other change is the bar here for the stand it's on. On Louis' model, it's actually a 3L bar. I've actually used a 4L bar because I had one in stock, and I think it actually suits the model more, actually having a bit of the wider bar to make it look more like the parrot's got a bit of movement if it wants to. The only other major exterior change, aside from maybe the back not looking quite the same, is actually the beak. Louis actually used a modified 1x1 with the single tooth, which would come in out to give the beak more of a point. I've just used 1x2 plate instead. That just gives it a bit more of a stubbier beak, but I think it's actually a bit more realistic like that. The model is quite heavy and it's very delicate, because the tail is actually built in 2 directions, and it's actually helping support the weight of the model, because it's actually balanced towards the rear. It does have a tendency for the tail to partially fall off or not become as fixed as it should be, and then the whole model is actually very delicate with the bar joint here, and actually the actual 1x2 modified plate underneath, which actually the legs attached to. And a point about the legs as well: the dark bluish grey is actually accurate to the Scarlet Macaw. I think it should be a bit of a lighter colour than what's modelled here, but it's nature. There's variation in nature and a few other bits and pieces. There is only one other thing which I think does not quite match Louis' model, and it's actually the fact that there's actually an offset here between the wing here and the actual where this cheese slope fits, and I might actually modify that cheese slope to put a 1x2 in red instead, so there's a bit more of a graduation onto the wing. The model itself is a very finely detailed. There's quite a lot of colours, and the colours are actually kind of what took so long, because some of these parts are only available in certain colours. So I had some of these parts already, but that modified 1x2, 1x2 studs, but it's actually a 2x2 wedge plate. I had to spend some time looking at what that actually was in terms of colours that were available. There's only 2 studs shown on the entire model, which are here. So I might actually change it around, but to be honest, I'm just tempted to leave it as is, because there's also studs showing on the base. So, but yeah, it's been a really hard model to build, and there's a bit of base construction, so you can sort of see it's a bit of a change to what you might have expected, but that's actually to fit in the nameplate and to actually give it a bit more of a sturdier look. But yeah, it's a really complicated build. Some of it's only attached by like single studs, but providing you handle the model carefully, it's actually quite surprisingly strong. But yeah, I thought YouTube might like to have a quick look at the parrot, and so that's really it. It's a quite nice model, and the reason why I've built this is not because of a challenge or to sort of go, I see what he's to do, I can do better. It's actually going to be my sister's Christmas present, because she loves parrots, and I saw the model originally via Instagram, I believe it was, on one of the Brothers Brick posts, and then I was able to look at the real post and then go to the Flickr page for it and actually do it that way. So it's a really lovely model, and you know, hopefully my sister's really impressed with it, because it's taken a lot of effort to do. So that's it for this video, and see you later.